Hi everyone, welcome to A+ Cichlids. Today we're talking all about peacock bass. So the first thing I want to talk about peacock bass is these guys are major predators, meaning that everything is competition to them. So size-wise, these guys get pretty big, and they can get up to 30 inches long. So you're going to want to have them in a pretty large tank. And one thing that I had a really big issue with is when I had them when they were young, is they did not want to eat. So they weren't really sick. They didn't seem like they had any parasites or anything like that. They looked pretty healthy. But the biggest issue is they just didn't have any drive to attempt to eat or get. I tried different kinds of foods. I tried floating type foods like freeze-dried type things, frozen foods, pellets, and nothing seemed to really work. So what I did notice is when I originally purchased these fish, I had like 3 of them. So just 3 of them in a small group, and one of them was eating and the other 2 were not. So the biggest thing that I came up with was, with these guys being predators, it's very important to have them in a community where they have to compete for their food. And if they're competing for their food, literally that's all they want to do is compete. So with that being said, when you guys get peacock bass, make sure you have some sort of other cichlids in the aquarium that are going to be competitors, and that's going to help push them to want to eat. And then as far as growth rate, these guys probably grow faster than any other fish that I've ever kept. Even like an Arowana, it stays with the Arowana, and the peacock bass grow faster than any other fish. In feeding them, they practically jump out of the aquarium every time I feed them. They're also very messy, meaning before you buy a peacock bass, understand that they're going to shoot water everywhere. So as far as cleaning the glass of your aquarium and getting splashed, these guys practically jump out of the aquarium for pellets, for anything. So with that being said, these guys get pretty large, so you're going to want a larger aquarium. They are messy eaters. So you're going to want a good filtration system, maybe a canister filter, sumps, things of that sort. These guys, they kind of stay together and flock together. I got 3 of them in a 210. Some of their tank mates, there's a silver Arowana. There's quite a few green pears in here. There's a bunch of blue Texas cichlids. So they seem to get along very well. The peacock bass will chase some of the other fish sometimes, and their growth rate is so much faster than all of the other fish. You want to buy other fish that are larger at the time that you buy the peacock bass, so that way they have an advantage of growing. Because the peacock bass are going to dominate all the food, and they're also going to grow faster than all the other fish. So one thing else that I noticed is during feeding time, you want to spread your food out if you have tank mates, because these guys are going to gulp down all the food you drop in at once. So make sure you distribute the food so that way the other fish have opportunity of eating as well. And also you are going to want a tight lid for these guys. I mean, I have an Arowana here, so that's also a variable, but these guys do tend to jump, and just like they do in nature. So make sure you guys have a tight lid so that way you don't have any fish jumping out of the aquarium. And it also helps with splashing and things like that. You don't have water all over your wall from splashing. As far as food-wise, if I feed them pellets, they'll eat pellets. Their favorite food to eat is the Tetra Jumbo krill. It's freeze-dried. So I feed that for my Arowana, but that's their favorite food to go after. And pretty much breeding these guys is pretty difficult just because of their size. They make like a pit, so they're going to want some sort of pit type area, and they are typically, you're going to want to get them to about 15 to 18 inches before they're sexually mature to breed, but it can be pretty difficult to breed them. I know they have very large spawns. And as far as aggression, these guys will eat any fish that are smaller. Is that if you have any tank mates that are maybe 25 to 30% of the size of the peacock bass, they're going to eat it. So even larger fish, to where right now one of them is around 15 inches, and he will try to eat some of the fish that are 5 inches to 6 inches long. So just keep that in mind if you have tank mates. These guys grow a lot faster, and they will try to eat the other fish, and that's kind of what they naturally do in nature. A lot of things about peacock bass, people really like to feed them feeder fish and live foods. Just be very careful that if you do live foods, make sure you raise them up yourself and you treat them for any kind of internal type infections, because these guys are very easily prone to getting parasites from feeders and things like that. So I personally do not use feeders for any of my fish just because of that reasoning, even though I know how to medicate them and deworm them and things like that. But it's very important to just stay away from that route so you don't have to worry about it. And other than that, peacock bass I think are really awesome. They're definitely one of the, probably I guess one of the craziest fish I've ever owned. They are very active and they seem to make a mess. And they are just very excited for every time you feed them. Even I've owned doveye in the past, and these guys seem to be more aggressive towards feeding than the doveye. So that's kind of my input on peacock bass. Feel free to leave a comment if you have any questions on them. And make sure you guys check out our Facebook page and our eBay page if you want to buy fish from us. And I'll answer your questions as soon as I can. Hope you guys have a great day. Thank you.